Welcome back to SoulBack. This is the R&B podcast. Kyle here. I have Tom with me. Tom, what is going on?
What's up, Kyle? What's the good word?
Ed was supposed to join us today, but I think he might be lining up for that new Popeyes sandwich that everyone keeps talking about. Have you tried?
No, I wouldn't eat Popeyes if you paid me money to eat Popeyes, guys. Come on.
Dude, it's like the most buzzing thing on the internet right now.
Listen, man, the time we went down to Essence Festival and we tried Popeyes for the first time, I'm still traumatized from that situation. Do you remember?
Yeah. Well, mind you, we were in the South, so, I think when I, ordered my food, they gave me, 5 options for my side dish, but they just said it all at once. It was, macaroni, potato, something, 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 something. I'm just you gotta slow down there.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much expected you to... The food wasn't bad. It's just that they expected you to know what was going on when you walk in the door. And we were some newbies coming in, had no idea what was going on. And we got pushed through the line. I'm pretty sure I ordered the wrong thing, but got nervous.
Oh well. From what I understand, I haven't been, but Chick-fil-A has the best customer service?
I have no idea. I've actually never eaten Chick-fil-A in 15 years. But it's pretty big here in New York City. There's actually lines out the door during lunch. It's crazy.
Well, good news. I'm coming through when I come back to New York. We're going to Chick-fil-A.
So where does KFC fit into all of this?
KFC is near the bottom.
I know it's the greasiest by far, but where are they in the rankings?
So mind you, I haven't had Chick-fil-A, so I can't say for sure. I actually really like Church's Chicken. Do you know what that is?
We discussed this a long time ago, and I said I never even heard of it. And then apparently you told me there's one in New York City, so I've still never gone.
Yes. So Church's Chicken is my favorite, but people love Popeyes, and the sandwich, which Ed tried, and he said it was delicious. But I don't know if you've seen the sandwich, Tom, but it's gigantic.
I mean, still not going to probably go try it, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, you stay away from the greasy food, but can we get into some R&B here, Tom?
All right. What do you got?
We actually got a couple here. Can we start off by talking about Missy Elliott's new EP, I guess it was? She announced it Thursday evening. And Tom, before we get into Missy's EP, can we congratulate her for... she's going to be getting the Michael Jackson VMA Vanguard Award. For, I guess it's a Lifetime Achievement Award for her impact with the music videos. Missy always had cool videos.
I do remember her videos being innovative. In fact, what I remember most was she wasn't afraid to experiment and do things that people would call weird or stupid. And sometimes that's what makes greatness. So, major respect to Missy.
Yeah, and then she dropped an EP to go with this news. Now, when we told Ed about this, he was jumping up for joy, and so I was excited. And then Tom, I listened to the EP. Have you got a chance to listen to it?
No, I've just read aloud the commentary. What did you think?
I might piss some people off with this, but I was actually pretty disappointed in the EP. It was a 4-track EP, 5, but one was an acapella of one of the songs, and nothing was necessarily terrible. It was a little trendy, and she was kind of mumble rapping on a couple of the songs. There was one full-on R&B song on there, but it wasn't anything that I would think was spectacular. So overall, it's nice to hear new music from Missy, but I don't know. I don't think this project was really it for me. I know Ed enjoyed it, or maybe it was his stand-up coming out, but I don't know, Tom. I guess the question I have is there really a need for new Missy Elliott music in 2019 with all of these new female rappers out here?
I'd say yes. I mean, she's a legend. I think there's always room for it. Unfortunately, I just don't know how motivated she is at this point in her career to put anything out. It's been 14 years since her last album. So I don't think she should be trying to compete with any of the younger artists. I wish she would just stay in her own lane, do the music she's always done, and stay true. But it's very tough because everyone wants to be commercially successful. Most artists don't want to just put something out, just to put it out. So it's a tough space she's in right now.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say about Missy is even though she's been gone for so long, she has written a lot of songs behind the scenes. So her pen game is still good. And I'd like to see more of that maybe on Monica's new album.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if that's, going to be on there. I have no idea what to expect on Monica's new album. But so far, so good with that project based on the success of the first single, Commitment.
Yeah, she was in the studio recently with B. Cox and JD, so that's always good. Always good to see those three together. I think Jonte was in the studio as well, so expecting some good things from Monica, and hopefully Missy starts dropping some more music too. I don't really think I heard a Timbaland song on this EP. I could be wrong, but as you know,
I read there was a Timbaland produced song on there. I didn't hear it, but I read there was actually.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing with Tim now. His sound isn't as recognizable as it was in the 2000s. Yeah. I think his sound has sort of evolved to the point where even a diehard doesn't really recognize it. Or maybe he's not even doing all of the production anymore. He's got a team behind him.
Right. Pretty much. Pretty likely the case.
Yeah. Got some other projects I want to touch on here. Lyfe Jennings, he dropped his final album, Tom. What's this about?
Yeah, I really didn't have a chance to dig into any of the new music yet. It's only been a couple of days. But yeah, he said it was his final album. Let's see if he sticks to that. I mean, he'll probably either way go tour the rest of his career, which is a great thing to be able to do. He's an amazing performer. But yeah, I haven't really had a chance to check that one out yet. But it would be sad if that was his last album for sure.
And I think the crazy thing is when you had posted it was his final album, a lot of the readers were like, what? His final album? Like, they were surprised. And did he announce it on social media that it was his last album?
He did. That's where I got it from. I'm not just making things up, Kyle, trying to stir the pot. He actually announced it. But, we're in the days of Instagram where if you miss one post and you might never know something happened. Like if you didn't log on for one day, you would never know. It's crazy how, the space we're in.
Damn. First Joe, and then Tyrese, and now Lyfe. Who's next, Tom? Who's next?
I have no guess who's next. No one ever retires. No one ever really retires in music, it seems like. You know that.
It seems like Genuine has actually retired. I haven't seen a new album from him in a while.
I don't think... he just loves to perform. So, I don't think he's motivated to be in the studio. I think he's said as much, but he's been hinting he's been back in there. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully we got something new from G soon. Raphael Saadiq dropped his new album, Jimmy Lee. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but Ed said we'll hate it.
Interesting. Whatever that means, Ed. I wish he was here to give his in-depth explanation on that. But it's always exciting to have Saadiq release new music. It's been, I think, 8 years. But he's been doing a lot behind the scenes, writing, producing, working on television scores. So, I mean, he's been extremely successful behind the scenes. He's a bit mysterious. So, I'm sure it's a very quality project based on what we've heard so far. Vintage, sound, soulful. We got to check it out.
Yeah, and then along with this project, I think he's set to work on Tony's reunion album. Tom, that should be really exciting just to see. It's always a treat when we see Raphael working on music.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know he's working on the music of the guest we got in this episode, in fact.
Yep, and we will announce that shortly after, but let's focus in on the music here, Tom. I think this one will be really exciting for you. Fantasia dropped her new record, and she announced her new tour as well. Let's talk about this tour first. It's going to be Fantasia, Robin Thicke, Tank, and the Bonfyre. That's a good tour right there.
It's an epic tour. Love to see artists coming together like that. There was so much excitement around the announcement. But most importantly, Kyle, we were debating what's going to be the lineup, what's going to be the order of performances.
You know what's crazy? So we know Fantasia is going to be the closer. She's headlining this tour. Fantasia doesn't necessarily have the most hits out of, her, Thicke, and Tank, but I think vocally and live she puts on a great show. But it's just interesting to see that, in a way, it'll be interesting to see 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, how people view Fantasia's legacy. Amazing performer, but she doesn't necessarily have the hits, does she?
Well, I think it's about more than that. She's built a loyal fan base based on her talent. She's cultivated that fan base. She puts on a great live show. It's always like a can't miss. If you see her once, you'll always want to check her out. And I think, it's a good example of it. It's not always about the hits. Putting out quality music, being consistent, it is a big thing. And it seems like, ever since the American Idol days, she just has been a celebrity as well. So the name Fantasia is always going to be a big name, so it's interesting.
Yeah, and I think she came out mid-2000s. That was like, I don't think those powerful voices were as appreciated as maybe in the 90s. So I think she was one of those artists that came up in the wrong era maybe. But yeah, an amazing performer. But Tom, we were debating about this back and forth.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'll say one other thing. Yep. We have talked about all the time about artists performing, doing certain venues, lowering their costs by performing in the clubs and instead of just, sticking to the bigger venues. Fantasia is one who has religiously always, from my perspective, done those bigger shows, never really undersold herself, never really did small venues, kind of kept her value high. I look at it like that, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's true. Always has a live band behind her as well. But
yep.
Tom, with this tour, obviously I think the Bonfyre goes first. She's the newcomer. But it's a great tour for her as well to introduce her to the R&B audience, because everyone at this show, they're going to be grown and everyone's going to love R&B. So it's a great look for Bonfyre.
Yeah, it's going to be a great look for her. Excited for her to be able to get on this type of tour. She's really going to be able to show her talent and show what she's made of.
Yeah, and then when it comes to Thicke and Tank, Tom, we were debating about this off the air. I posted it on Facebook. Who do you think should be going before Fantasia? Not the closer, but the one before the closer. Is it Tank or is it Robin Thicke? Because this is pretty close to me.
I still think it's going to be Tank. I wouldn't have said that a few years ago, obviously, but I really think that Thicke really hurt his value and his fan base. You can even see some of the comments people are making. They don't even check him out anymore. With that whole saga that happened with, the Marvin Gaye sample, quote unquote, and kind of some of the stuff he did in court, throwing Pharrell under the bus. I think he hurt his value, and this is part of his way of building it back up. He should be headlining tours like this, if you think about it at this point.
Yeah, Robin Thicke has hits, and he's put in the work. It's not that I disagree with you, because obviously Tank has had more success on Urban AC over the last couple of years, but don't count Robin Thicke out. His latest single, That's What Love Can Do, that's a pretty big song. And with Blurred Lines and Lost Without You, I think, to me, he should still be, before Fantasia, but I can see it going both ways. If you're going to talk about ego and all of that stuff, I don't know if Tank is willing to go after Bonfyre. I think he will want to go be runner-up to Fantasia. I don't know. And I don't know Robin Thicke personally, so I don't know how he deals with it, but it will definitely be interesting.
I just think, Tank is at probably his biggest peak. And,
True.
I'm just looking at it from the perspective of that, in terms of popularity in this current moment. I'm not denying that Thicke has a better catalog than Tank. I'm just looking at, in this current moment, who has the bigger name right now. So we'll see. It could go either way.
Because I don't think Robin Thicke has done any touring as of late, eh?
Not really.
He's been rather quiet.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see what happens with Robin Thicke. Some more new music for you here. Summer Walker, Tom, new R&B artist. She dropped her new single, Playing Games, and she announced her tour as well. Tom, this song clocks in at about 2 minutes and 24 seconds.
That's the trend, isn't it? What did you think of it, though?
I thought the song was cool. It has sort of like a vibey type of sound to it, but I think Summer, she's showing me some promise because, I don't know if you've seen her live, but she actually does play instruments. She plays the guitar. And she had a EP earlier in the year, Clear, which was like a full-on acoustic EP. So there is some musicality there. With this song, though, Tom, I'm starting to really hate these 2 minutes and 20-something songs because, she builds on a great first verse, has a chorus, and then the song just ends. And as a listener, I want to hear what's going on in that second verse. It's supposed to be a story, right? That's what R&B is. But with this, it's more of just like a vibe. But interesting enough, I was talking to a friend of mine who's in her early 20s, and she even admitted to me, she's like, that's probably why I like Summer Walker's music so much, is that I don't have the patience or the attention span to listen to a song that's like 5 minutes.
Wow. But
So,
in addition to that, did you ever think about, it's all about streaming numbers these days?
yep.
Chris Brown encouraging his fans to just put something on play and repeat. So if you were to put this on repeat, you could get 1 million streams in half the time than a 5-minute song could get 1 million streams. Think about it like that.
Yeah, especially if you're if you have like a Spotify playlist going on, you can get like 10 songs played in the span of half an hour,
Yeah.
whereas before it would be way less. You might maybe get like 4 or 5 songs in. So
Exactly.
but you know what? Summer Walker, I think, has some promise here. I think what will be interesting here, Tom, with a lot of these artists, and maybe it's not as important as it once was, artists like her and LMA and Queen Naija, now Summer Walker, they have a big internet following, but it's going to be interesting to see how they translate that success into radio success. Or maybe that's not even important anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely a time when things are changing. We'll have to see how they go.
Yeah, but what I will say is I'm actually pretty impressed. Like, her is going to be performing at the MTV VMA Awards, so it's starting to look like the media outlets are accepting R&B again, or at least a certain part of it. Whereas, I don't know if you remember, but like in the early 2010s, everything was like EDM and Pitbull and Flo Rida, and we had no R&B artists on these award shows. I think like when Miguel did Adorn at the Grammys, everyone was like, "Holy crap, that's a groundbreaking moment."
Yeah.
So
it's an exciting time for R&B. I mean, it's bubbling. Acts are starting to get attention and noticed.
Agreed. Now, Tom, we have our guest coming up soon, so we might have to hit pause at some point, but I want to do an album look back here. Can we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So last week, Ed and I talked about the Mary album, and I actually said it was like the 10-year anniversary of it. I'd like to correct myself. It's actually the 20-year. That just means I'm getting old, and I thought 2009 was today, but that was 10 years ago.
Nice.
But let's talk about another album from 20 years ago if we can.
Yep.
Can we talk about, didn't Donell Jones' second album come out in 1999?
I'll check real quick. It sounds right. I remember that year when it came out. I just remember I mentioned on this podcast, dudes blasting it from their car, the single. But yes, you're right, October 12th, 1999.
Can we talk about that album really quickly before our guest comes in? Because, man, Tom, I want you to give me the history. I don't know, were you listening to Donell on his first album, or did you get introduced to him on the second album?
I gotta be honest, I got introduced on the second album. I wasn't a huge R&B head though until the late 90s, so I went back immediately and discovered the first album after I heard the first one. You know, it was a must for me at that point. So I remember that though.
So when you listen to the second album, Where I Want to Be, of course you talked about the single, but give me your reaction when you heard that album for the first time.
Man, I remember You Know What's Up was one of my favorite songs. I loved Where I Want to Be. And then, you know, I feel like I had heard other songs from the album, like This Love, Have You Seen Her, Shorty Got Her Eyes on Me. So I felt like I had heard a lot of the album. And then, man, I remember front to back. I loved the whole album. It was one of those you could put on and play from front to back. So, you know, it's a favorite of mine for sure. And definitely one that put Donell up there among the greats of the 90s. I mean, what was your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, Where I Want to Be, I definitely knew, as well as the record with Left Eye. I actually listened to that album later on in my life, because at that time I was like 9 years old when the album came out. But I remember listening to it, and I just really fell in love with Donell's songwriting and the way he put his songs together with his backgrounds. And we talked about it with Donell when he was here, but it was something like mesmerizing about his voice in that production and how well it just got put together. And it's just great going back to that album because you can tell when an artist is in his zone or in her zone with a project, and that's one of those projects where Donell was in his zone. And I feel like with those type of moments, you can put out like 20 records and they'll all be magical.
Absolutely. Classic album.
Yeah, and I think some of his unreleased stuff ended up on his B-side project, right?
Yeah. If you haven't heard that, whoever's listening that loves Donell Jones, there's some gems on that project.
Yeah. Was Superman from this project as well, or is it from his first album?
I believe Superman was actually from his first album, believe it or not. But I could be wrong. I'm not totally certain.
Yeah, because that had like the same vibe as Get It Together by 702, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's probably his first album because he had a record that sounded like that on his debut. What was it called? Think About It? Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah, I remember that one too.
Yeah, so, but man, it's just great to go back and revisit these artists, especially when they're in that zone and they're just putting out quality. And we'll see what Donell comes out with soon. He has the record out with John B, and I know he's working on his album, so we'll see, Tom. But until then, we're going to have to bring in
actually, Kyle, real quick, now. We can't forget. Before we bring in our guests, real quick, we got to give a shout out to Aaliyah. Today is 18 years since she passed. We never forget her. Just want to give her a quick shout out. Or, we still uphold her as one of the greats, and we always will. So, shout out to Aaliyah.
Absolutely. And Tom, before our guest comes in, I want you to think of a fan shout out. And once the guest comes in and does their stuff, we're going to get into the fan shout out. Can we do that?
Gotcha. Absolutely.
Sounds good. So, guys, grab your popcorn and your soda because our special guest is coming in now. And like I said, every week we try to bring in someone special, someone who has brought SoulBack. And Tom, I'm really excited about the guest that we have today. She's a newcomer, but she's been making a lot of noise. Hit #1 with her single Automatic a couple of months back. She's now on an epic tour that's about to take place. I have the Bonfyre. What's going on?
Nothing. I'm just super excited. Exciting to talk to you guys about what I'm doing.
That's dope. We're really excited to kind of dig into some of your background. So, we love what you're doing right now. But can you just, tell us, and, we love to discuss R&B history and discuss some of the classics. What's one album, that had possibly the biggest impact, on you growing up that really influenced you?
One album?
Yeah. Give us any album.
Let's see. It's funny because it's always hard for me to answer that question because I have so many different influences. But I would probably have to say, let's see, it's between Lauryn Hill and Erykah Badu, but I'd probably say The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That sticks with me.
Good choices.
Yeah. That's just the way, I always say this, but it's really Lauryn Hill, Erykah Badu, that's the way my soul swings. You know what I mean? It's just if I had to choose a pocket, my soul would live in that space.
Right. That's dope.
Bonfyre, what do you like about those two artists?
What moves me the most about them is just because, when I listen, I feel like music is a universal language, It doesn't matter who you are, how you live your life. Everybody speaks that language. You can speak to somebody through music, whether, it's healing somebody or just encouraging or motivating, whatever. Music is universal. So they just speak to me as artists. My soul resonates with them, their music. And, it does something to me without, just by listening. I think that's music is so powerful for that reason. You know what I mean? It's right. Everything you need in one, But yeah.
Cool. So, the Bonfyre, you're definitely on our radar right now, but to a lot of people, you're just really blown up, coming out of nowhere, and just, they're just discovering you for the first time. Obviously, you've had so much success with your single Automatic, and now you've got the new single out. But we really, want to know, like, how did this journey begin for you? How did you originally get discovered, and how will you, get signed and all that?
Yeah, I know. It's so funny because it seems like I really did kind of come out of nowhere. In a sense, I did, but not for me because I've been, like, grinding for so long. Like, I come from a family of entertainers and, musicians, and music was instilled in me as a little girl. A little background about me. My uncle owned a Polynesian show, so I was a hula dancer. They worked at a Chinese restaurant, but they owned the Polynesian show. So I was like a hula girl growing up my whole life on stage with like my family. Like the band was my uncles, and the dancers were my cousins, my aunt, my mother. So I grew up in that atmosphere, and I was just always surrounded by music, whether it was on stage performing or whether it was just in the house listening to it. You know what I mean? Like, so music has been a big part of my life, like ever since I was younger, and it stuck with me. I just, did that. Like I did that as a little girl, and as I got older, I realized, like, wow, I really love this. Like, if you were to ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would tell you a singer because that's what I love to do. And I just pursued it. I felt like I was doing what every 15, 16-year-old was doing. I was making YouTube videos. I was throwing them up online. And long story short, a promoter actually reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to perform at this club in New York. And I was like, sure. I was so excited. And it was like my first time performing outside of my hometown. So I was like super excited. So I went, and it connected me to my manager, Nancy, and Raphael Saadiq. And Raphael reached out to me through social media and flew me out the next day to Atlanta. We had a conversation, and it was like all she wrote from there for the next 4 or 5 years. I was traveling back and forth to Atlanta in California and working with Raphael closely, just kind of like, that old school, I don't want to call it old school, but it is like that artist development, really just highlighting and figuring out like who I was as an artist, and just creating who I am, the Bonfyre. Like it just kind of all fell into place, and which led me to doing a cover to Sweetest Thing, put it up on SoundCloud, and that song got me auditions, from labels. Labels started calling me, and that's how I met Elliott Reid.
Wow.
And I made my EP, put it out, boom. So everything kind of seems like it happened so fast, but it was really like, it was a grind, and it's still a grind, It don't stop.
That's crazy. I mean, it's almost startling to hear you say that, 4 to 5 years of artist development, because we never hear that side of things. That's how it used to be back in the day. Now it seems like everyone's an overnight success. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like people don't see like the behind the scenes because it's hard, But if I was to give advice to anybody that was trying to do what I'm doing, it's like you can never give up on yourself. You just got to keep going for it, and it'll manifest.
Absolutely. Now, Kyle and I, on I Got Soul, we hear so many R&B artists who are coming out who are looking to make an impact, and obviously you really stood out to us, and we really believe in you. So I want to ask my partner Kyle, what really stood out about the Bonfyre that got you excited about her music?
Well, Tom, I listened to Bonfyre's EP when it came out, and what stood out to me was just the versatility. Like she would have more current records like Automatic, which fit in well with radio, but then she had also some of that classic type of R&B like Keep Me Waiting and Ready to Love, and then Propane, another one that sort of fits into what's in today's R&B landscape. And then you have a record like All About You, which is super soulful. So Bonfyre, I'd like to know, with all of these different influences and different sounds, how much of that was Raphael Saadiq sort of guiding you through it, and how much was it just like what you wanted to do? Like, what was your thought process going into that EP?
Honestly, like, it was so organically done. Like, it's funny because when I look back at it, like, if you were to ask me this during the process, I would tell you, like, oh, I'm trying to go for, like, this or I'm trying to do this. But, like, honestly, everything that I did was so organic. Like, it wasn't planned now that I think back on it. So it was just kind of like in the moment. Like, it came from conversations. It came from, you know, just listening to something and having a feel for, you know, just traveling back in time to something that I've been through. Because, like, everything that I write about and when I collaborate with somebody, like, I have to, like, experience it. You know what I mean? Like, I have to go through it. And, but Raphael, like, he has, throughout my whole career, honestly, since the day I met him, he's had so much of an inspiration on me because he's just, like, I don't know, like, words don't know, like, he's so incredible. Like, he's just, like, a goat. If I'm using, like, 2019 terms, like, he's a goat. Like, he's phenomenal. And, mixing our thoughts together and just kind of, like, collaborating with different people. Like, I got a chance to work with Hitmaker and Harmony Samuels and some really great writers. So just kind of bringing out, you know, that organic, you know, story, because it was just really like a big story, like a story tale. Like, I was just telling stories, and we kind of just came up with songs that, you know, but also had influences from artists that I love, you know what I mean? And not even, like, on purpose. It kind of just happened, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, but Raphael is definitely, and still, like, I'm actually working on my album right now, and he's a huge influence on it. So I think he will always be one because he's just kind of been a mentor to me. He's really like my big brother, so, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I love about the EP Bonfyre is the samples that you chose to sing over. You know, you had a Blackstreet record and a handful of different other samples, but you maintained the feel of the record because a lot of times, especially in today's R&B, you'll hear samples from when we were all growing up and we loved those records, but then the feeling is gone. But like a song like Keeps Me Waiting, you still have that 90s feel to it. How did you manage to keep that feeling in the record?
I think it's honestly like, it's that I love 90s era. I love the early 2000s. I love, like, my music span is very broad. Like, I listen to a lot of different things and I get influenced off a lot of different things. But 90s in general, I grew up in that era, and, you know, when I was a little girl, my older cousins were listening to that. So it's like, you know, I say this a lot, but it's true. Like, that's the way I see music. Like, it just comes out in that way. Like, I can't, like, pinpoint it. It's like, it's always weird to me when somebody says, like, oh, like, how do you sing like that? Or, like, what are you? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, it just kind of happens. Like, it comes out that way. It's not explained. It's just the way that I feel it. I feel that. I sing the way I feel, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
I don't really have an
Right.
explanation for it. It's just more so a feeling, you know what I mean?
Right. So, like we mentioned, you've got the new single out, You Say, with Black, and, you know, we really noticed a contrast in the sound between that one and Automatic, you know, the first single you had put out. Does your sound fall more, like your what you feel is your signature sound, fall more in line with either of those songs, or you really feel like you're versatile, you could work anything?
I feel like I'm versatile, but, you know, there definitely is, now that you know. I never really view it that way. Like, I kind of, like I said, like, when I record a song, it's just kind of like I'm having a moment. Like, I'm living in a space where, like, I'm just writing about something that I've been through, or, you know, if I'm, you know, with Black. Like, it's so funny because we weren't in the studio together. Like, we kind of, like, I recorded You Say, and then I opened up a verse, and he like, I guess he heard the song, and he was like, yo, I love this, and he put a verse down, and it was just, like, magic, and I was like, wow, because honestly, I was just going to leave it as is. I wasn't even going to have a feature, but, you know, I just loved his verse so much, and I felt like I needed a record like that. It wasn't even like I was trying to sing differently or, like, let me try something new. It was just, like, I liked it. I loved it. Like, I fell in love with the record. Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Now, with your record Automatic, and Tom, I want to hear your thoughts or how you viewed it, because when I heard Automatic, it wasn't like I caught it, through social media or anything. It came from, the traditional sense of being played on the radio, and I heard it. I'm like, what is this? And I went and found it myself. Tom, how did you discover the record?
yeah, same way. I thought it was really interesting because Bonfyre, we always look at the charts, we follow what's going on radio, and all of a sudden we seen this song really blowing up at radio, and it's interesting because a lot of artists don't go that route these days. So we thought that was great that that Elliott Reid and his team really put the push behind the song and believed in it and felt enough to really push it to the top and help it do what was needed to do to get to the top. So we thought that was awesome. How did you feel about the rollout and everything that followed?
Well, it was like it was incredible to me. It really was like a dream, honestly, going like number one. And when I had a big EP release party, so that was like amazing. I had so many different people there. Like, it was like old school Atlanta. LA threw it for me, and Raphael was there. Everybody was there, so it was like a dream to me. And then for my record, being that's the first piece of material, like I put out the EP for one of my records to go number one. It was just like a blessing. Like, I couldn't have asked for more, and it was just humbling, because it's always scary putting out music and you don't know how people are going to receive it, if they're going to receive it the same way you do. But it was, I felt incredible. It was great.
Right. And Bonfyre, I got to tell you, we're all really excited about this album that you're working on, because Harmony, that's one of our boys. We've known him for years now. You have Raphael Saadiq on your team, Elliott Reid, what he's done in the industry. Just talk about what you're currently working on. What's that project sounding like?
Well, it's definitely a spin. I don't know how to explain it. It's not finished yet. It's almost finished, but it's definitely going to tell a story. It's going to tell a story. It's going to, I hope to mark memories, with this album, because I feel like your first album is so important, because I don't care who you are, like what artist you are, you always remember that first album an artist put out, at least for me, you know what I mean? And, like, I'm really trying to do more for people than just sing songs. Like, I learned, like, a long time ago that long after the song writer, like, long after I'm gone, the song, like, my songs are going to remain. So I just want to be able to inspire people with my experiences and mark memories, So I feel like my album is going to do that,
That's dope. We're really looking forward to checking it out when it's ready and it's out. You've got something huge coming up, though, with this tour you're a part of. Definitely one of the most, if not the most, epic tours in R&B this year. We love it when artists come together and put together something special, but, it's Fantasia's headlining, and you're a part of it, as well as Tank and Robin Thicke. So just tell us about that experience and what you're looking forward to about that.
Well, I'm still kind of like, I don't want to say in shock, but I'm so excited because they're like, they're just legendary to me, and they're such like phenomenal people. Like, they're just a joy to be around, and I just feel like it's gonna be a real R&B experience, and like it's like soul food. Like, y'all are coming to the barbecue to get a plate. Like, it's real, and I'm just like. I'm just so excited to be a part of it. I feel like it's a blessing that this is going to be my first tour, and it's with them. You know what I mean? So I'm just super excited. I've been waiting to go on tour, and it's really awesome to me that I get to be on tour with them. So I think it's going to be great, and I'm excited to touch people. Actually, the tour. So it's for 3 months. So I'm excited just to touch people during that time,
Awesome.
Absolutely. Now, Tom, I talked to you off the air about this, but this tour, I think, is a great opportunity for Bonfyre to really establish her mark with this R&B community, because this isn't one of those like hip-hop shows. This is just pure R&B fans. They're going to an R&B show. How do you view it, Tom?
Yeah, I think this tour, Bonfire, you got on the perfect tour to showcase, what you're really capable of to true R&B lovers. It's not like you're opening for a hip hop act. You're going to be with some of the premier vocalists in the genre, and then you're right there with them. Your talent is right there with them. So I think you're really going to get the chance to get exposure to some of the true R&B lovers that are out there and who are really going to get a chance. Because I'll be honest, even when we posted the flyer, some people were not yet familiar. They said, well, who's the Bonfire? They know Tank and Fantasia and Thicke, but they're they're gonna, it's gonna get to them. They'll check you out, and that'll be it. There'll be new fans right there. So I think it's a great opportunity for you.
Yeah, yep, it is. It's gonna be amazing, and I just feel like to hang with the star, you gotta be a star. You know what I mean? So I just feel like I'm blessed to be on the tour, but I'm excited to showcase, what I can do, because I sing R&B just like them, you know what I mean? So it's really amazing that I get to be a part of it, and I'm just real excited, like I said, to touch people.
Right. And Bonfire, lastly, with your single Automatic that hit #1 on Urban AC, and you're a younger R&B act, and, I find a lot of listeners, old and new, like if you're a young artist, mostly the young listeners gravitate towards you, and if you're an older artist, then the older crowd gravitates to you. But it seems like your fan base or people that are checking you out, it's a wide range of people of different ages.
Mhm. Yeah.
So just talk about that, and what do you think is going to be the key to making sure that everyone's invited to the Bonfires party?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's so great that because as a little girl, I love growing, I love the fact of growing with an artist. I listen to Destiny's Child, I listen to Beyonce, Aaliyah, just like Rihanna, I grew with those artists. I grew with Mariah Carey, I grew with Christina Aguilera, I grew with all those people. So the thought of having I don't want to say I have kid fans because I don't know if I have kid fans yet. But just the fact of thinking about my fans being able to grow with me, even if they're 19, 20, or, even older crowd, I think it's incredible, that I touch different ages of people because, like I said it once already, but music is universal and everybody speaks it, so if I can speak to everybody, it doesn't matter who or age range, I think, I couldn't ask for more as an artist.
Amazing. And, the Bonfire, we're just about out of time. Is there anything else you'd like to add on?
No, just thank you. Thank you for taking the time to get to know me, and hopefully I see you guys on tour.
That's dope. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to all you've got coming. You got our support, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And Tom, that was the Bonfire on the SoulBack podcast. She seems really cool.
Yeah, she's cool. She's got a bright future ahead of her. She's got a great team that are willing to make things happen for her. So, we'll definitely be checking her out and supporting.
Absolutely. Now, Tom, it's time to get into your weekly fan shout-out. Did you actually prepare one?
I did prepare one. I'm always prepared, Kyle. Come on now.
Nice. Who do we have?
It's cool that actually Facebook makes it easy for you. So they have this top fan section. You can see who actively comments the most and stuff like that. I don't know if you've seen that section.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, so they make my job a little bit easier because we have so many fans who look out for us and have been supporting us. I don't want to call them fans. I just want to, call them supporters. But I want to give this shout out to one of our top fans on Facebook. I know Sharon Hollins. I've seen her commenting on a bunch of our stuff and liking our posts. So we appreciate it. Thank you for always checking us out and rocking with us.
Absolutely. And Tom, speaking of top fans, I don't even know if we've announced this, but we've partnered up with Sony Hall, which is a venue in New York City. We're going to help promote some of the concerts that they have going on, some R&B concerts, and we're also going to be giving away free tickets to the shows. And most recently, we gave away a pair of tickets to Lyfe Jennings' show at the end of August, and a couple more shows coming up, Sierra, Lloyd, some other names that I'm drawing blank right now, Tom, but we've got a couple of shows, so just keep following us on social media, listening to the podcast, and you too may be going to a Sierra show.
There you go.
Tom, will you be going to a Sierra show?
Most likely not, no.
Okay, fair enough. Let's get into the SoulBack track of the day.
Okay.
I want to go with the record X Factor by Lauryn Hill, since Bonfyre mentioned Lauryn Hill. This record, everyone seems to love this record, and the topic of this song, it's true. It's like scary, but it's true. This happens in relationships.
Yeah, it's a great song. I mean, that's when songwriting really meant something. You know, music meant something. I'm sorry, I don't mean music meant something, but music had more feeling and was relatable. You know, I'm not relating to how many racks you got in bags and getting the bag, securing the bag. So, yeah, that's a better era for me. But I actually like the remix too. I don't know how many people have heard it. The remix is a more up tempo. It doesn't even really sound like the original, but it's also a cool song. I like it. Do you ever hear it?
I thought you were gonna say the Drake remix, but no, I haven't heard the remix of it.
Check out the remix when you get a chance.
Can
we do another SoulBack song of the day real quick?
Sure.
What is your favorite Aaliyah song? Since we're celebrating on the anniversary of her passing, what is your favorite?
You know what? I actually saw Ed commenting on it today, and he said, "Are You That Somebody?" And I'm leaning towards that because that was, when I heard that song for the first time, it was mind-blowing to me. I remember me and my cousins both listening to that, and immediately you would pick up on the baby crying in the background.
Yep.
That's I mean, that's up there, but today, just to be different, I'm going to say Try Again, just because I think, to me, that's like one of the greatest Timbaland beats ever.
That's a good choice as well. I'm with Ed, though. Actually, I'm with Ed. I'm going to have to go with Are You That Somebody? If you're going to look at my iTunes play count, though, Loose Rap is the most played Aaliyah song. Shout out to Static Major. Yep,
absolutely. Tom, quickly, can we get into the Playa Please here?
All right.
I don't even know if this is really a Playa Please, but I'm just going to give a Playa Please to people that beef on the internet. Most recently, Dallas Austin did an interview online and pretty much just said that, because Dallas produced Boyz II Men's debut album, and he said that on the second Boyz II Men album, the group became a bunch of jerks and they dissed Babyface in the studio, etc., etc. Shawn Stockman, we're still looking for you on the podcast, but he made a reply on Instagram addressing the whole situation. And 2 points to this, Tom. Number one, when you blow up the way that Boyz II Men blew up, I think some ego is going to be involved and you're going to get quite big-headed, right, from all the success.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to hear things like that, but whenever it comes to these stories and these beefs, usually the truth is somewhere in the middle. So I'm not taking either side. I'm sure they were both sides have something to say about it, but who knows what the truth is. We've seen egos, though. So who knows, man? I have no idea.
Yeah, but I think the Playa Please here is, why this should be dealt with on a phone call. Don't call out each other on the internet.
Also, this was, 25 years ago? Why is this just being brought up now? Like, are you kidding me?
Nope. And then we also have to give a shout out to Tim Kelly, because he's linked to both Dallas and Boyz II Men. I texted him earlier to find out what the hell is going on, and our boy Tim Kelly wrote, "What's going on? I've been in the lab all day." So shout outs to people that still work in the lab and work hard.
That's Tim Kelly. He lives in the lab. He's one of the hardest working dudes, and much success to him. He's having a lot right now.
Yep. Probably making a hit for Bobby V as we speak, Tom.
Yep.
So, Tom, that seems to be it for this week's podcast. I'm going to go try to find this chicken sandwich that everyone keeps eating at Popeyes. Didn't you show me a meme of, like, a worker from Popeyes compared to Michael Jordan with the flu game?
Oh, man, I forgot the woman's name, but, man, she worked on the third shift at Popeyes, and she baked 239 chicken sandwiches. That's the real MVP right there.
Damn right it is. And then speaking of the flu game, even though this is not really R&B related, there's actually rumors that people claim that it was no flu. Michael Jordan was just hungover. Can you confirm this?
Oh, honestly, I don't even know if Michael Jordan drank. He was so competitive. I have no idea.
Yeah. We'll bring in Michael Jordan on the next podcast to find out. How about that?
There we go.
Hey man,
get him on the line.
Mike had Robin Thicke at his wedding, so he knows R&B.
Hey man, if we can get Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind and Fire on this podcast, we could get just about anybody.
This is facts. Anyway, Tom, I think that's it for this week. We'll get Ed back next week, and we'll get this whole thing going once again. So, Tom, thank you again to the Bonfire. And, Tom, I guess we're out of here. Tom, I guess we're out of here. Tom, I guess we're out of here. Tom, I guess